you so much for joining us. It's been a long time no see for webinars other than the one that Olivia just did. But yeah, we're happy to be back middle of AEP. We know that this is a chaotic time for everyone, and that's why we're especially thankful that you are here taking the time watching this. Today, we are going to be talking all about DSNPs and CSNPs, specifically those SSBCI benefits. There's been a lot of questions, obviously, about this. And so we have prepared, by we, I mean Will, has been deep diving into this the last month or so to make sure that he's got all this information and we're able to relay that over to you guys, since we know that it's been quite confusing. And you know, DSNP stuff is never just like cut and dry anyway, so it's kind of par for the course. But my name is Sadie Palmer. I am the team leader of training and education, and I have the privilege of just hosting today. Our real expert here, Will, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Wonderful. Thanks, Sadie. Well, my name is Will Pierce. I'm our Associate Director of Key Accounts here at Senior Marketing Specialist. I'm really excited to be doing this webinar today. Sadie, I don't know about you, but I think the transition from VBID into SSBCI benefits, and we'll get into what all that means here shortly, is really, really exciting and is going to provide you guys as brokers a great opportunity to shine and really continue to show your value add for your clients.
Awesome. Before we deep dive into this, you guys, I have just a few housekeeping items. First thing is that today will be recorded. So if you have to hop off, of course, it's a busy season. So if you have to hop off or if you want to catch the information again, we will record this and we will be putting it up on our YouTube page today. So just look up Senior Marketing Specialist on YouTube and you should be able to find us. We also will be sending out a follow-up email within the next 24 hours or so that will have any resources that we mention here today. And then, of course, we will have that recording on there for you as well. And then let's see. Oh, questions. Of course, we already have one here. Mary's saying that she can't see us. Let us know if anybody else is having issues seeing us, so we know if it's on our end or if it's on your end. But please feel free to throw those question box or questions in the question box there. Comments, concerns, threats, promises. It makes our job a lot more fun and you get a lot more out of it. We know that there are a lot of questions surrounding this, so please feel free to use those questions. I will politely interrupt Will throughout it if you have a question, but also we'll have a Q&A at the very end. So if you have questions and you want to save them for the end, that's okay too. We'll have a portion there at the end. But Will, let's, busy time of year, let's go ahead and get the show on the road.
Absolutely. Sadie, I'm going to put you on the spot here with this first question. When do you think the VBID demonstration was launched by CMS? How long do you think DSNP consumers have been familiar with these benefits?
Oh gosh, I have no idea. I don't have a guess. I'm sorry.
So the answer is 2017. So if you've
so that was later than what I would have guessed by a lot.
Yep. So VBID, which is Value-Based Insurance Design, is what that acronym stands for, was launched by the Innovation Center in 2017 to try to prove that MA plan sponsors with some flexibility could target additional benefits towards certain groups of enrollees to reduce spending and hopefully throughout this improve quality of care as well. If you are in the SNP space at all, whether that's dual or chronic, you're going to notice this transition to SSBCI primarily for your dual consumers is where all of the questions are going to start arising. Since 2017, those dual consumers have been used to receiving benefits such as the food cards, these over-the-counters, utility assistance, things of that nature have been the common benefits that we're now seeing transition over to SSBCI. So kind of what does that mean for you as the broker, and what does it mean for you as for your consumers as well? So on the dual side, what that means now is that SSBCI, which is supplemental benefits for the chronically ill, that chronically ill part is what is now going to be really important. And Sadie, we're used to this on the chronic space because you have to have a chronic condition to qualify for SNPs anyways. But this is now transitioning into the dual space as well. So any members that you're writing onto a dual special needs plan, in order to get the full amount of benefits, are now going to have a qualifying chronic condition for it as well, which is going to be a big change for a lot of them. Not all of them are going to qualify for it, and some of them may not have access to the full food card benefits that they're used to getting every single year, like clockwork since 2017 on their plans. The questions that always start coming up are, okay, well, how can I help as an agent? What do my clients need to know? And frankly, what are these conditions? How many are there? How likely are people going to be qualifying for this? So I'll start with the, how many conditions are we talking about? What's the likelihood of qualification? All of those kinds of things. So it's around 24 qualifying conditions, which is a lot more than the chronic special needs plans that we're using. Those are usually 2, maybe 3. Usually it's diabetes is a common one, cardiovascular, things like that are what we're used to seeing. Those are still going to play a factor in SSBCI qualifications for your dual members, but having 24 qualifying conditions, there is a lot more available now for these consumers than prior. Diabetes is still a common one. I was looking at a list from a carrier the other day, and mental health conditions are also on there. So, whether it's depression or anxiety or things of that nature can also qualify them for these benefits. So
Yeah, that would be, oh, sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
That would be like one of the questions that I have, because of course I'm learning alongside of you guys about this stuff, but do the qualifying conditions kind of cast a wide net? Because what I would, as far as like, it reaches mental health and then maybe some other things, because what I would be afraid of is, as like an agent, is, well, what's the point in having someone on a DSNP if most of my clients are, not even going to have a qualifying condition? And I might be jumping ahead for what you have here, but that would be like my first question about all of this.
No, absolutely great question. So it does cast a very wide net. So I'm looking at that list from a carrier here. Some of the things included that would not qualify for a chronic plan, for example, chronic alcohol use and other substance abuse disorders. That's not going to qualify you for a CSNP. That is an SSBCI qualifying health condition. For example, autoimmune diseases, cancer, cardiovascular disorders, conditions associated with cognitive impairment, so dementia, Alzheimer's, things like that, chronic kidney disease, post-organ transplants as well are going to qualify for these SSBCI benefits, conditions with functional challenges that required continued therapy, overweight, obesity, metabolic syndromes, HIV/AIDS, chronic lung disorders, disabling mental health conditions, neurological disorders, strokes. So it's a very encompassing list, and that wasn't even all of them listed on there. And so I think, my reminder to agents would be right now, take a deep breath. If you've got dual members, or if that's maybe a market that at the end here, we're going to talk about opportunities for you as the brokers within all of this, take a deep breath. It is a very lengthy list. And now kind of, Sadie, to the point you were leaning into, what do I need to do? Let's say I have a dual client come to me. Okay, they tell me they have one of these list of conditions. What's kind of that next step? I mean, how do I even make sure that they have this available come January 1st?
Right.
So right now, a lot of that is actually self-attestation from the members, which I don't know about you, Sadie, but that kind of terrifies me that, like, as of right now, a lot of this is being put in our consumers' hands and saying, oh, well, they just need to call and tell us, like, hey, I have one of these. I was looking at the guidance from a carrier, and it was, they just need to call the member services number on their card, self-attest. They need to attest before the 15th of January to have benefits available for January. If it's after January 15th, they're going to go a whole month without those benefits, and then it'll be February. And
yep, like it's just that easy. We all, yep, it's just that.
Should be that easy. And I think the concern for a lot of agents is going to be, okay, well, I'm not involved in that process. How can I make sure that it's getting done? How can I make sure that it is actually getting attached to their their account? And
well, especially for like people, agents who work with the DSNP clients, they're used to being very heavily involved in helping with their benefits and everything like that. So having honestly a large portion of like their benefits being kind of out of their hands is something that they're probably not used to, and it's something that the client is not used to either. They're used to having a bit more. That was kind of the beauty of DSNP plans, is there was a lot kind of handed to you on a plate. And so Yeah, weird, confusing, just very different, kind of messes up the process.
Yep. It's definitely going to throw a wrench in a lot of things, and it's really going to impact you kind of differently in two camps, whether it's existing clients not making any changes or new clients to you or clients making plan changes. So clients that are not making any changes on their DSNP plans, for the most part, the way that that's going to look is those carriers that they're on are going to use their prior RX and claims data to try to get them approved before January 1st. So if you've got a large DSNP block with one carrier and you're not moving them this year, they're going to use the past 2025 claims data to say, okay, from RX information or doctor's visits that we've got here, they have a qualifying condition. They're going to be good come 2026. The bigger confusion and questions come from, okay, I'm changing plans, or it's a new to me client that I've got no experience with. That's going to be where that member self-attestation comes in. And not to beat a dead drum, because we've talked about it a lot over the years and into this year's role, but the HRAs with carriers is huge for this. That is going to speed up the process so much. And not to mention, you as the broker gets paid for it. They take 5-10 minutes, I think, on average, and those health risk assessments are going to be huge for making sure that carriers have a full picture of that client's profile coming in, and then you add in that member attestation at the start, and that should, for the most part, get people started off on January on the right foot with these transitions and benefits.
We do, before we deep dive a little bit more into that, we do have a few questions here.
Yeah.
Why are there less qualifying conditions for CSNPs as compared to DSNPs? And then we kind of covered that a little bit, but what happens in regards to their CSNP or DSNP plan if they lose LIS? Will this affect their plan at all? I heard UHC putting them on a PDP plan. If lose LIS, then kicks them off their MAPD plan.
Sure. So on the first question of why are there way more benefits on the SSBCI side for the dual plan than on the chronic plan? So chronic special needs plans are designed to really be targeted for just a couple conditions. Is if you look at, I get a lot of agents ask, why would I even put someone on a CSNP? Like the MOOP's really high on some of them. Some of the benefits are out of line with traditional MAs. A lot of times it's going to come down to some of the extras that are specific for that condition, whether that's extra things on the diabetes treatment side for them, or the formulary is going to be a little bit different in a lot of instances on those chronic special needs plans. So CSNPs are designed to be a lot more targeted to a couple specific conditions that allow for the depth of more care. Mm-hmm. The overarching goal in these transitions is to get better quality of care out. Not to get too off topic, but when looking at, like, okay, well, why are we transitioning away from VBID to the SSBCI? And it's some of the reasons being excessive cost, inflated risk scores in some instances, and just policy modifications within CMS. So they're transitioning this to try to get better outcomes and better quality of care anyways. And so that's kind of the intended goal of CSNPs, is very narrow focus. We're going to do a couple of conditions and we're going to do them really freaking good. Mm-hmm. And Sadie, do you want to run that second question by me again?
Yes, absolutely. What happens in regards to their CSNP or DSNP plan if they lose LIS? Will this affect their plan at all?
Yep. So on the CSNP side, most CSNPs do not need you to also have Medicaid benefits or LIS to be eligible for that plan. Usually it is just that qualifying chronic condition. On the DSNP side, if you have any change in your level, whether that's your LIS, your income changes, what have you, any change in your Medicaid level, LIS level, anything like that, it can have an impact on your plan. Depending on the level of change, you may not qualify for that DSNP plan anymore. Every DSNP plan has certain qualification levels to it. So if you experience too big of a change, you may not be eligible. You'll be given a grace period to make a change. You're not just going to be immediately terminated, and members will receive letters as well. So if they're on a plan they don't qualify for, whether that's a CSNP or a DSNP, they're going to be receiving plenty of communication from the carrier on that front too.
Awesome. And then we have one more question that kind of loops us back into where we were at. Do they look back at claims up to 2 years ago or just the last 25 claims?
So the only guidance that I've really seen come through from the carrier is that they're going to look at just the RX data on their file. If that client's been with them for a year, they may only have a year's worth of data. I've not seen one from a carrier come through specifically just say 25 claims worth of data. The only guidance that I've seen in writing is that they're going to use the RX and health claims data on file to try to pre-qualify them.
Awesome. Cool. Those are the questions we have right now. Keep throwing them in there, guys.
Absolutely. So on your new clients, you're going to be transitioning to making sure you need to do those HRAs. I actually just saw an email come through from Humana today that they're extending the deadline to do those through December 7th. At first, they were just 10 days post-enrollment. Humana is extending that through 12/7 now to get those HRAs done for any of your DSNPs and CSNPs. So I would really say that HRAs are more important now than ever, maybe when I look at this. And kind of to move into what I have as the last mental topic here is, what's your opportunity as a broker within this? Maybe you're not in the DSNP space at all. Maybe you want to be, or maybe you are heavy into it and want to write more of that this year. So as we kind of look at the tail end of AEP here, thinking about first quarter and what does this mean? If you've got a lot of consumers in your area that are on dual plans that maybe are not your clients, if their agent didn't explain this to them very well, or didn't tell them like, hey, you need to also be involved in part of this process now, like it's not all automatic, come January 16th, they may try to go use their food card and have $40 of OTC rather than the 200 they were expecting, or they may go to try to pay their utility assistance bill with it and not be able to, and be frustrated on that standpoint. And so there is a very high likelihood that there's a lot of shuffling around and changing that goes on in the first quarter with these plans. And so if you have a large DSNP block, that is a big retention opportunity for you, but it's also a huge opportunity to scoop up some new business and some new clients. When I think about unhappy consumers, they're probably not going to call the agent that they're frustrated with. They're probably going to be trying to find someone new. And so being knowledgeable enough to help them through the process and make sure that they are going to qualify for the benefits before you enroll them is going to earn you wonders with the dual community and get you a lot of referrals and really open up the floodgates in the first quarter, in my opinion, for you as an agent.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have another question here. I'm guessing the agent doesn't get notified if their status changes and they're going back from a DC to an annual plan.
So some carriers will pop notices in like a book of business file, whether that's, pending termination, might be a flag that you see, or things of that nature. But a lot of times the communication is going to be going to the member and saying, we noticed a change in your benefits, you're not eligible for this plan, your coverage is going to end as of, insert date here. Not only do they receive communication from the client, but if someone's level changes, they should also receive communication from their state Medicaid. More times than not, they're not left entirely blind. It's the fact that there is a change. Just making sure that you as the agent are communicating when you're enrolling these members ahead of time that, like, hey, if you get any letters from the carrier, from your state health agency, whoever it is, and you're not sure what they mean, call me. Call me. I'll answer your questions. I'll guide you through it. That's going to be the best retention strategy with Medicaid changes that we're going to have this year for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And just in general, making sure that you're relaying the information to them, like, hey, be looking out in the mail for certain things, because that's at this time of year, people are so, seniors are so flooded with mail. And a lot of it just goes straight to the trash, which I'm guilty of as well.
I mean, like, I'm looking at a letter here from our doctor's office, and it is plain white envelope, doesn't look like anything important, but I just happen to frankly be expecting it and know to grab it and not just shred it. I think that catches a lot of consumers off guard. Well, I didn't get anything. It comes in a very unassuming white envelope. It doesn't, scream open me across the top of it. To put some of this impact size into perspective too, if I may here, in plan year 2025, 62 MA organizations had some form of VBID benefits. That was going to over 7 million beneficiaries in 2025 plan year. In 2024, 93% of DSNP enrollees had BBID coverage. So when you look at the amount of people that we know are on some level of Medicaid across the entirety of the US, 93% of them, 2024 numbers, had BBID benefit coverage that are going to be transitioning to SSBCI now. Consumers are more in the need of brokers than I think ever before, and more in the need of educated brokers than ever before. And you guys listening to this, whether on the recording or live now in the webinar, are the agents that consumers are going to be needing going forward. They may not be calling you asking about it now because they are just operating under the assumption of, well, I'm just going to have it next year. But come January, that's likely to not be the case. And I would expect phones to start ringing pretty heavily with these changes.
Absolutely.
Awesome. That was all that I had. Sadie, any other questions that we missed in there?
Great. No questions that we have of anybody else, but guys, if you have any lingering questions, please throw them in the questionnaire box. We'll be here for just a minute or so, but I have a question of my own. This might be getting into the weeds just a little bit, and of course it probably varies carrier by carrier, plan by plan, but I'm interested in to know what benefits are going to be, like what sort of benefits are going to be withheld from the DSNP members if they aren't filling out those. What are like an example of the kind of benefits that people might be missing out? And I know that you kind of mentioned a few here and there, but just,
Yep, the biggest ones are going to be the healthy foods, that like grocery assistance kind of thing, and then like utilities assistance. So those really big, really impactful things for our DSNP members are going to be the things that are going to be kind of tucked behind this SSBCI window, so to say. So someone's used to getting $180 a month that they could maybe pay their Wi-Fi bill with, go to their local Kroger and buy some healthy items. That's now going to be tucked behind the SSBCI qualification. There will still be over-the-counter benefits available, but some of these more non-medical related things is kind of the tag that keeps getting put behind SSBCI.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, that makes sense. Let's see. So they do not have, so they do not have to have LIS or any Medicaid to qualify for a CSNP?
Traditionally not. There is a carrier that has what they call a CSNP Plus plan, and that's devoted. That one is CSNP and Medicaid, but most CSNP plans are just having that qualifying chronic condition.
Awesome. Okay, guys, we don't have any more questions, but we will stick around for just a minute or so to make sure that we gather any of those. And then, of course, you can always reach out to us afterwards. We are available by phone, by live chat, by email, all the ways. People are working around the clock here. We want to be able to help you guys out with less than a month left, just a few more weeks left of AEP. It's crazy.
It has gone so fast.
Yes.
I know there's been a lot of changes this year, a lot of service area reductions in markets, carriers exiting markets. The questions are more than ever. And so, we were really excited to bring you guys this webinar today because I don't want this one going under the radar either. And I feel like there's so much other change going on that consumers are also maybe not as educated as they could be on this topic.
Yeah, absolutely. And, there's been so much disruption in a lot of different ways. Right now, being an agent can feel really daunting. It can feel really scary. We're seeing a lot of people maybe lose a little bit of confidence in like, what am I doing? What's going on here? Especially because it all kind of happens so fast. And so we want to make sure that you guys know that we are here and we have the resources for you, and we are doing the research that you don't have time to because you're in the middle of your busy season or you're prepping for your busy season, and that we totally got you, and we understand and can empathize how crazy, especially you will, can empathize with just how crazy of an industry we are in, but how lucky we are to be in this industry and have each other. So
Absolutely.
Will, thank you so much for all the work that you've done to put into this. So happy to have you on here. You guys, again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. This recording will be on YouTube, and also you'll receive a follow-up email within the next 24 hours or so. But Will, if you don't have anything else to add, we will get people back to their day.
Awesome. Thanks again for having me, Sadie.
Of course. Thank you.